Welcome to CrimePod Castle Unsolved Mystery Series.
Episode 80.
Today,
Yeah.
we're taking you on a deep dive into a case that gripped India back in 2010,
Okay.
the death of Nirupama Pathak.
Right.
This young journalist, just 22 years old and working for a respected investigative magazine, was found dead in her home, leaving behind a tangled web of unanswered questions. Was it suicide as her family initially claimed, or could it be something far more sinister?
This case is particularly complex because of the conflicting narratives and the weight of societal pressures that surround it.
Yeah.
It's a story that delves into family secrets,
Oh, wow.
cultural clashes, and the tragic consequences of forbidden love.
Okay, so let's unpack this for our listener.
Sure.
You've been deep in the research on this one.
I have.
Give us the lay of the land.
Okay.
Who was Nirupama Pathak, and what led to this mystery surrounding her death?
Nirupama was a bright, ambitious young woman on the cusp of a promising career. She was in love with Priyabhanshu Ranjan, a fellow student she met while they were both studying at the prestigious Indian Institute of Mass Communication in Delhi.
Wow.
They had plans,
Yeah.
dreams of future together.
Sounds like a classic love story.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the conflict? What turned this into a mystery?
Well, their relationship wasn't as simple as it seemed.
Okay.
They came from different castes,
Right.
which can be a significant obstacle in India.
Uh-huh.
And in this case, it seems that Nirupama's family was vehemently opposed to the relationship.
So we have young love, family disapproval, and the added layer of societal expectations tied to these caste differences.
Yes.
I can see where this is heading toward a difficult situation.
Exactly. And tragically, that's what we see unfolding.
Yeah.
In April 2010, Nirupama was found dead in her bedroom,
Oh, no.
hanging from a ceiling fan.
Wow.
Initially, her family claimed it was suicide, citing work stress and personal issues as the cause.
But something doesn't add up right. If it were a simple suicide, why are we here dissecting this case years later?
You're right. There were several red flags that cast doubt on the suicide theory.
Okay.
First, during the autopsy, examiners found injuries on Nirupama's face and neck,
Right.
suggesting a possible struggle before her death.
Whoa, that definitely contradicts the idea of a peaceful suicide.
It does.
Yeah.
The autopsy also confirmed that Nirupama was pregnant at the time of her death.
Oh, my goodness.
And this detail throws a whole new wrench into the narrative.
Okay, so we have a young woman, pregnant, found dead with signs of a struggle, and a family insisting it was suicide.
Yes.
Now introduce the forbidden lover and the societal pressure, and you've got a recipe for suspicion.
Precisely. And that's exactly where the investigation started to shift.
Okay.
Priyabhanshu, the boyfriend, came forward with his account of their relationship and revealed that they were planning to get married despite the family's disapproval.
Wow.
He also spoke of the intense pressure Nirupama faced from her family due to their intercaste relationship.
So the possibility of an honor killing enters the picture.
Yeah.
For our listener who might not be familiar with this term, can you explain what an honor killing is and how it might relate to this case?
An honor killing is a horrific act of violence often committed by family members against someone perceived to have brought shame or dishonor to their family.
Right.
This can involve defying social norms, refusing an arranged marriage, or, as in this case, engaging in a relationship deemed unacceptable by the family.
Okay.
The idea is to restore the family's honor through this brutal act.
That's a chilling concept, and it fits into the narrative we're building here.
It does.
A young woman defying her family's wishes.
Right.
A pregnancy that could bring shame and ultimately a violent death.
Yes.
It paints a very dark picture.
And while it's a disturbing theory, it's one that investigators had to consider seriously, given the evidence and circumstances surrounding Nirupama's death.
So the initial assumption of suicide starts to crumble, and the focus shifts to a possible honor killing.
Right.
But I imagine things weren't so clear-cut.
They weren't.
Was everyone convinced that this was the case?
Not quite.
Okay.
While the circumstances were highly suspicious.
Yeah.
Remember, suspicion doesn't equal proof.
Right.
The investigation faced hurdles, conflicting accounts, and the difficulty of proving intent, especially within a family unit.
Let's break down these complexities a bit further for our listener.
Okay.
We have the family's narrative, the boyfriend's claims, and the possibility of an honor killing.
Uh-huh.
But we also need to examine the alternative theories.
Yeah.
All right? After all, a deep dive means exploring every angle.
Absolutely. We can't discount other possibilities.
Right.
While suicide seemed less likely as the investigation progressed,
Yeah.
there's also the question of whether this could have been an accidental death during a confrontation with the scene later staged to look like a suicide.
That's a chilling possibility.
It is.
It adds another layer of complexity to this already tangled web.
For sure.
So what about other theories? Was there any indication of someone else being involved? Someone outside the family?
Investigators did explore the possibility of a third party being involved, but there wasn't enough evidence to support that theory. The focus remained on the dynamics within the family and the potential motives stemming from those relationships.
This is where things get really interesting.
We do.
We have a death shrouded in mystery.
Right.
A family possibly covering up the truth.
Right.
And a forbidden love story at the center of it all.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the overarching societal pressures related to caste and honor that play a significant role in this whole scenario.
It's a case that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about societal norms and the lengths to which some will go to protect their perceived honor, even if it means sacrificing the life of a loved one.
So where do we go from here?
Well,
We've laid the groundwork, established the key players, and introduced the conflicting narratives.
Right.
What's next in our deep dive into this case?
Well, now we need to really analyze the evidence and weigh the arguments for and against the primary theories.
Right.
Let's start with the honor-killing theory. What makes this theory so compelling, and what are the challenges in proving it?
You mentioned that honor killings are often committed to restore a family's perceived honor.
Right.
How would that apply specifically to Nirupama's case?
Okay.
What exactly was at stake for her family?
Remember the intercaste relationship and the pregnancy?
Yeah.
In a traditional society like the one Nirupama lived in, these factors could be seen as a direct challenge to the family's standing within their community.
Okay.
Marrying outside one's caste can be viewed as a transgression.
Wow.
A dilution of the family's lineage and a threat to their social position.
So in their eyes, Nirupama's actions were bringing shame upon them.
Yes.
And a pregnancy out of wedlock would only amplify that shame, right?
Exactly. It's a tragic example of how deeply ingrained societal norms can clash with individual choices, sometimes with devastating consequences. In these cases, the family's honor becomes more important than the life of the individual.
It's a horrifying thought, but it helps explain why the honor-killing theory gained so much traction in this case.
It does.
But what about the evidence? Did the investigation reveal any concrete proof to support this theory?
That's where things get tricky.
Okay.
While the circumstances and the potential motive were strong indicators,
Right.
proving an honor killing can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Remember, this happened within the confines of a family home.
Right.
Witnesses are often reluctant to come forward, especially if they fear repercussions from the community or the family itself.
So it becomes a case of piecing together circumstantial evidence,
Yes.
analyzing motives, and trying to understand the dynamics within the family.
Right.
But what about the physical evidence?
Yeah.
Those injuries on Nirupama's body.
Yeah.
How do those fit into the theory?
The injuries suggest a struggle, possibly a confrontation that escalated into violence.
Right.
This could support the honor-killing theory, suggesting that Nirupama's death wasn't a simple suicide, but rather a forced act.
But couldn't those injuries have been inflicted in a different scenario? Say, during an argument that led to an accidental death? That's another theory we discussed earlier.
You're absolutely right. That's why it's so crucial to examine all possible explanations.
Right.
The accidental death theory suggests that a heated argument between Nirupama and her family could have led to a physical altercation resulting in an unintended fatality.
And in that scenario, the hanging could have been staged to cover up the true nature of her death.
Yes.
It's a chilling thought, the lengths to which someone might go to conceal the truth.
It's certainly a possibility, and it speaks to the complexity of this case.
Yeah.
We're dealing with layers of potential deception, conflicting accounts, and the challenge of determining intent.
So we have two theories, both of which could potentially explain the injuries, the circumstances, and the family's initial insistence on suicide.
Yes.
What makes one theory more plausible than the other, or is it impossible to say for sure?
It's difficult to definitively say without conclusive evidence. However, the context of the case, the societal pressures, and the family's opposition to the relationship all lend more weight to the honor-killing theory.
Okay.
Of course, that doesn't diminish the possibility of an accidental death.
Yeah.
Both theories highlight the volatile situation within the Pathak household.
It seems like the investigation was walking a tightrope, trying to separate truth from deception, motive from accident.
Yes.
Did they ever get closer to a definitive answer?
Unfortunately, no. Despite extensive investigation and media scrutiny,
Oh, wow.
the case remained unsolved. No one was ever charged in connection with Nirupama's death.
That's incredibly frustrating.
It is.
You're left with so many unanswered questions.
Uh-huh.
Was there any explanation for why the investigation couldn't reach a conclusion?
Well,
Was it simply a lack of evidence, or were there other factors at play?
it's likely a combination of factors. The nature of the crime itself, the reluctance of potential witnesses to come forward, and the complexities of navigating cultural sensitivities all contributed to the challenges faced by investigators.
It's a stark reminder that sometimes, even with intense scrutiny and the desire for justice, the truth can remain elusive.
It can.
It's a case that leaves you wondering, what if?
Yeah.
What if the investigation had uncovered that one crucial piece of evidence?
Right.
What if someone had come forward with a vital piece of information?
Those what-ifs are what continue to haunt this case.
Right.
It's the unresolved nature of it all that makes it so compelling and so heartbreaking.
Uh-huh.
We're left grappling with possibilities, trying to find some semblance of closure in a story that seems determined to remain shrouded in mystery.
We've spent a lot of time dissecting the various theories and analyzing the evidence or lack thereof.
Yeah.
But this case is more than just a puzzle to be solved.
Right.
It's a story about a real person, a young woman whose life was tragically cut short.
It is.
What about Nirupama? What can you tell us about her life, her aspirations, the person she was beyond the headlines?
Nirupama was a talented journalist, passionate about her work, and determined to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
She was a beloved daughter, a sister, a friend.
Right.
Her dreams and aspirations were abruptly halted,
Yeah.
and her story became intertwined with this tragic mystery.
It's easy to get lost in the details of the investigation, the theories, the search for answers.
Uh-huh.
But it's important to remember that at the heart of this case is a young woman who deserves to be remembered for who she was, not just for how she died.
Absolutely. Nirupama's story deserves to be told not just as a case file, but as a reminder of the human cost of societal pressures,
Right.
prejudice, and the complexities of family relationships.
Wow.
Her life, her dreams, her potential, all cut short in a tragedy that continues to resonate years later.
It's a sobering reminder that behind every headline, behind every unsolved mystery, there's a human story.
There is.
A life filled with complexities and aspirations.
Yeah.
And in Nirupama's case, that story is one of ambition, love, defiance, and ultimately tragedy.
Mm.
It's hard to fathom the weight of this unresolved mystery on those who knew and loved Nirupama.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine the emotional toll this must have taken on her family, her friends, and especially Priyapanchu?
It's a wound that never truly heals, isn't it?
Right.
The lack of closure, the unanswered questions, they linger, casting a shadow over everything.
Uh-huh.
And for Priyapanchu, who was planning a life with this woman, the pain must be unimaginable. He lost his love, his future, and was left facing suspicion and scrutiny.
It feels like everyone involved in this case lost something. Nirupama's family lost their daughter.
Right.
Priyapanchu lost his partner, and society in a way lost a bright, promising individual, and none of them received the closure of a definitive answer, the justice that might have brought some solace.
It highlights a crucial point.
Okay.
Unsolved mysteries aren't just fascinating stories for us to analyze and debate. They represent real lives, real people whose stories have been disrupted, leaving behind a void of pain and uncertainty.
And in this case, it's not just the individuals involved, but society as a whole that feels the impact.
Right.
Nirupama's death sparked a nationwide debate about honor killings, caste-based violence, and the pressures faced by women in India.
Yes.
It forced people to confront uncomfortable truths about their own society.
You're right. This wasn't just a private tragedy. It became a public conversation.
Yeah.
Nirupama's case, tragic as it was, served as a catalyst for change. It reignited the discussion about women's rights, the need for stricter laws against honor killings, and the importance of challenging deeply ingrained societal norms that perpetuate such violence.
So while justice might have eluded those directly affected by this case,
Right.
Nirupama's story did have a ripple effect.
It did.
It forced a nation to look inward, to examine its values, and confront the dark side of tradition.
It's a bittersweet legacy, but a legacy nonetheless. Her death brought these issues to the forefront, prompting dialogue, activism, and hopefully some progress toward a more just and equitable society.
But for those who knew and loved her, the pain remains.
It does.
And the question that continues to echo through this case, what truly happened to Nirupama Pathak, remains unanswered.
It's a case that reminds us that sometimes the most we can hope for is understanding, not answers.
Yeah.
We can delve into the evidence, explore the theories, and try to make sense of the senseless, but ultimately some mysteries refuse to be fully unraveled.
And perhaps that's the most profound lesson we can take from this deep dive. It's a reminder that we don't always get the neat and tidy resolutions we crave.
Right.
Sometimes we're left with questions with ambiguities, with the heavy weight of what ifs.
But even in the absence of clear-cut answers, there's value in exploring these cases,
Yeah.
in dissecting the complexities and shedding light on the dark corners of human behavior and societal pressures.
Because even if we can't solve every mystery, we can learn from them.
We
can use them as opportunities to challenge our own assumptions, to raise awareness, and to advocate for a world where tragedies like Nirupama's become less frequent, less acceptable, and ultimately a thing of the past.
It's a reminder that the pursuit of justice, the fight for equality, and the quest for understanding are ongoing journeys, not destinations.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive into the unsolved mystery of Nirupama Pathak's death,
Okay.
we're left with a sense of sadness, frustration, and a renewed determination to keep asking the tough questions, to keep pushing for change, and to keep honoring the memory of those whose stories deserve to be told.
It's a powerful reminder that every life, every story has meaning and deserves to be remembered.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of a complex and tragic case. We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and perhaps even a call to action in your own lives. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle for more deep dives into India's most compelling unsolved mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and stay engaged.